And this is the Monday Scrum. Adam Peacock alongside, as always, James Graham. How are you, Jimmy?
I'm very well, thank you. Apart from the Dogs losing yesterday.
Well, not just losing, getting absolutely pummeled.
Yes, but minus that fact, I'm doing very well, thank you.
It's a bright sunny day, so it's great that you have that perspective.
I tell you what, it is sunny.
It's a bit chilly.
I didn't sign up for this.
Good day to work in the tan, Jimmy.
I may
Wow.
as well have signed for Canberra all those
It's a
years
beautiful
ago.
August day in the north of England.
This is ridiculous.
Come on,
like I'm not joking.
Freezing this morning.
This is as far as I'm prepared to say.
Yeah.
If I had a pair of gloves here in my house in
You are-
Sydney,
you're kidding,
I
mate.
would have
You are
worn them.
kidding.
I would have worn them, but I don't own a pair of gloves in this country.
Aaron Woods and Brent Read are not impressed with that summation there, gents. How are we?
I would have thought being in Australia would have toughened him up a bit, but my
Oh,
God.
he's a tough man. He's a tough man.
Come on, Jimmy. It was freezing this morning. Freezing.
I know. I'm acknowledging that.
That's
fact.
what he
You
said.
just said it was warm, didn't you?
No, he
No,
said,
no, no,
he said
no,
it's
no,
cold.
no. He's the other
Mate,
Oh, I
one.
missed all that.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
completely
working.
missing
Mate.
that. Sorry.
He had gloves.
Should we,
Nice gloves.
do you want to do the top of the
Oh,
show
good point,
again?
yeah, sorry, can we start again?
Maybe.
What's in that there?
I was confused. Sorry.
Coffee or
It
a...
threw me. I don't know what happened there. I
I
got
hope
thrown.
I hope.
For some reason, I thought you were saying it was too warm.
No,
Reedy's
mate.
You said
When
the
you
sun was
about
out.
working-
You were talking about
He's
the
too
sun
worried
being
about
out.
checking his
Mate,
phone.
you know
See
what?
who's ringing and messaging
You've
him.
got Volandis and Abdo who've been ringing you, messaging you. You know, you turn your phone
big
over now.
noted.
Like,
You were
so-
talking about the sun being out, Jimmy.
I didn't. No, Peacock said the sun's
Oh,
out.
right. Sorry, I got confused.
mate,
He
I
said he
said
would
it's
have lived in
beautiful.
Canberra where it's freezing.
He did
All,
say that,
all
yeah.
I'm getting from this is I hope that is your mind's elsewhere.
Sorry.
And I hope that your mind's elsewhere because you're thinking about how you're going
He's
to break
thinking about- he's
something
thinking about Reedy's
massive. So
mail.
Reedy's mail, I'm expecting big
I
things.
did just see his phone, though.
Don't
And it's got,
expect too
to Peter
much.
Volandis, it's got 36 messages in a row that just simply say, take me to Vegas.
Yeah. So
And then the other one's reply,
I'm waiting
"Don't
for big
call me."
things.
I know, it's just this AVO.
Stop harassing me.
Leave me alone.
Sorry, okay, so hold on. So you're saying it's cold, Jimmy? Yeah?
Yes,
I think we discovered that about 10 minutes ago.
My sign-off line was, if I owned a pair of gloves here in Sydney, I would have worn them
Would you?
today.
And you were
how
not
cold it
happy
was.
with that call.
I actually agree. It's cold.
Well
That's
done,
true.
Ready.
Yeah,
Well
I'm
done.
with you.
Ben Hunt,
Sorry.
guys, big story across the weekend. I don't like. Makes me feel uncomfortable when I'm watching a game of footy and the big talking point at halftime is signing news. Like the weekend's there to enjoy the footy. All of a sudden, this story drops, which had me intrigued as to why a story like this would drop. It sounds like someone's trying to smother some information because they know that's the best time to do it, because there's games to take the distraction immediately away. Now, it hasn't quite, because it's leading this and it's leading a lot of discussions around the place, James. It was a weird one that it came out, how it did, not so much the information that came out, it was how the information came out.
Yeah, well, look at as well, especially this time of year in Origin camp, any player that has got a contract up in the air or any sort of big news at Clubland, you know, the line goes out, I'm focusing on Origin and I'll make a decision, an announcement on my future once the Origin series has come to a conclusion. So that's what we're used to, right? Like anybody that's involved in Origin, I'm focusing on Origin, or I'm focused on finals, a decision will
Tunnel
come
vision.
after that. So it's actually quite refreshing, I think, that a player has just said,
No, I've done it.
Well, has he said it?
well,
Yeah, well, he texted Buzz Rothfield.
He's texted a number of journalists
Yeah.
to
text you, Reedy?
to confirm
No, I
the
didn't
fact.
text him.
Brushed.
I didn't go to him.
Well, I think it's been, you know, it's not innuendo.
care of it,
mate.
You
Yeah,
know,
no,
it's
it's
not
fact.
innuendo. It's not like, oh, I've heard, or sources are saying, or you know, the inner circle. It's like, no, it's come from the horse's mouth directly that he wants to release.
But did it start with him? That's the thing. He's now
I
trying to
reckon
get
it
ahead of the
would've-
game.
Well, he's the one that's wanted to release. And the funny thing is, you look at what's been reported. It's come out today that he's happy to give up 150K. And if you know Ben Hunt, he loves his cash. So he must.
Well,
he-
150K to him.
He must.
It's not that. That's.
It's
you
still a
know,
lot of money, Jimmy.
I
Yeah,
know
but
it
hold
is.
on, you know, but he's on 850 at the Dragons next year.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's got a deal on the table or an offer that he'll get 900 elsewhere. So he's actually not losing that much money, and he'll probably get more. Whatever club gets him, he'll probably say to them, "Look,
But they'll
I'm
also.
going to leave 150
Hang
on
on.
the table where I am."
Hang on, he's
Yes.
on 850 next year.
Yes.
He'll likely get that or more wherever he goes.
Or he'll
So
get.
he's not going to take a pay cut.
No, he won't
And
take
also,
a pay cut.
I don't know how the NRL. I
How
don't
can
know
he
if
talk
the
to
I
another
don't
club?
I don't know
Well,
if
you
the
can't. Well, you can talk to another club.
If you're allowed,
can't talk figures.
The club can't induce you to break the contract, and
but-
that's a big issue in all this.
I don't know if an NRL player can leave for less money if the contract's been lodged. I think it's got to be.
No, it's got to be the
Yeah,
same.
you're
It's
probably
got
right,
to be the
yeah.
same. I think there's,
but Jimmy, he's
there's
not good-
laws.
Jimmy.
There's laws in this. So
Jimmy,
because I think there's a situation where a player's signed a deal and then they wanted to forego money to stay and give that money to other players so that they can keep them, and the NRL,
But you know the
NRL
funny
say
thing
no
is-
because it
that's
reeks.
a redundant debate though, because he's never going to go somewhere for less
But
money.
you know the other thing
Well,
is,
he could do.
No, he won't.
But when he signed his contract, he also signed when the management was completely different. So the whole
Which
contract was
management?
different. He had Anthony Griffin as a coach.
Yeah, but the
I'm not
CEO was
buying
the
that.
same.
Yeah, mate,
Flano did the
Woodsy,
contract when he was there,
Woodsy,
and the board was the
No,
same.
Flano wasn't there when he did it.
Wasn't he in
No,
charge of the
moved- no,
pathways
no,
and
Flano
programs?
did
when
it.
he
the
did it?
writing was on the wall
This-
for a long
no, I
time
agree, but
about
it-
Hawk before he signed this deal, and he asked for a clause, and the club said no. So, you know, the very fact that we're surprised by this,
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
well, look, and really, can
But if I was the Dragons, Jimmy, I'd put a $500,000 transfer fee on it.
Yes.
You
The
got
idea-
to get some compensation out of it. Like, it's like what the Bulldogs, what the Broncos did with the Bulldogs kid. Yeah, Ben Hunt's going to take 150 pay cut, but the club needs to be reimbursed with some money because they could have went out on the market last year and bought a half.
They've
lost-
planned
they've lost-
accordingly for the
They've lost
next
18
couple
months.
of seasons.
Yeah.
But the club came out yesterday. We had Ryan Webb on, the CEO, who says, "Well, we're just going to flat out deny it."
And he repeated
Oh, sorry,
that.
not deny it. Flat out. We'll flat out deny the
We've
request.
heard that before, but
And he repeated that this morning, Jimmy.
how many times have you
Where's
heard
he
that
gonna
before?
land?
I know that.
Where's favourites if we're framing a market?
I wouldn't be letting him go. Now, you might have an unhappy player for a while, but surely Flano's got to be given a chance to turn him around and convince him to stay. And the idea of putting 150 grand on the table for a guy who's had $1.7 million over the next 2 years is that amount of money is insane. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Well,
Like,
well,
if you get to a point where
I think that's
he
just the rest of this year.
bought out the next 2 years.
No, I think he's just saying he's happy to give up his money now to go immediately.
Yeah.
But what about
That's what I read, yeah.
But what about the next? What,
I'm with
so
you.
what do they get for the
I'm
next
with-
2
nothing.
years?
I'm with, that's why I said, well, they won't have to chip in any money if he goes to another club. Normally, like when you come to an agreement
Well,
to get out.
that's about 250 grand he's given up there.
Well, really, I agree with what you say that the club, you might want to stand your ground, but also for a player in the middle of Origin to admit that he wants to go.
Well, the funny
Like,
thing is, it doesn't look
they-
like he wants to go back at all now.
So, in my
He's going
opinion,
to stay in Queensland.
well, that's what
but
it looks like. So the timing's everything
Yeah.
with these type of things. And if you look at the timing, you kind of go, well, why would he release this now? It's so that he perhaps doesn't even have to walk back into the building.
Can I say one thing? And he says he wants to win a comp, right?
Mm.
You watched the Bulldogs play yesterday. No disrespect, Jimmy. You watched the Titans play. The Dragons have beat the Titans once this year and they
Yeah.
lost the second time by 4 points.
Yeah, he ain't
It's
winning
not
a
like he's
comp
going to the Roosters or Melbourne Storm.
No, but I'd say that looking all things equal,
But they're gonna-
you'd look at the Bulldogs and say their potential is higher than what the Dragons is for the next in Ben Hunt's career span.
Well, do you reckon they're going to win a comp in the next 2 years?
I think it's more likely in Ben Hunt's career span than in what it is at the Dragons.
Well, man, it looks like.
Let's hear from Ryan Webb from the Dragons.
No, we've got no intention of granting that release, and we've told his management exactly that. He wants to be winning. He wants to see us getting better, and we're not right now. So ultimately it comes back to that. He's working really hard. He's giving everything he can to the club, but he's not getting the returns, or we're not as a club. So that's probably where it all really sits.
That's a smart response from the CEO because even if he does end up going, they've set and along the transfer fee line, got there eventually. It's starting the negotiation of, nah, he's not going anywhere. You don't start with, oh, we'll consider it. Then you
No
weaken.
way.
It's a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Unfortunately, it's a game, and from a Dragons perspective and a club perspective, I said this yesterday about Shane Flanagan. Right, he needs to come in and he needs to figure out what type of club he wants to be, and what type of club he wants the Dragons to be. If he has been given autonomy, he's got two choices. It's either we're a club that if you don't want to be here, there's the door. And I've heard a lot of coaches say that when they walk in, like, this is my ship, this is how I'm going to run it. If you're not interested in being here, get out. We'll organise you. We'll pack your suitcases for you and kick you on the arse goodbye. or we're a club that no, we're stand for contracts. And we're not going to be, you pick and choose if you want to be here or if you don't. It's like a contract means something. You've got to be one of those two, I think.
Woodsy, you know Ben Hunt better than most of us.
Yep.
Is he the sort of bloke, if he doesn't get his way, he'd sook about it?
No, I don't think he's sook about it, but you can just tell he's disgruntled at the moment, really. Like, he's not one to say too much, and what he's giving us at the moment is, complete for me. I couldn't believe it when I seen it the other day, Reedy. I didn't think, he's the captain of the club. He re-signed last year. He's obviously their marquee man, but you look at all the processes they're going through. Something's happened. I don't think it's the playing roster. He's not happy. Like, he's happy with the boys, happy with that. It's things behind the scenes. I don't know what the management have promised him or what, if he's been supposed to be in talks or if they've said that they're on a keep hook or whether it's third parties, but something hasn't gone right behind the scenes and he's frustrated about it.
Maybe
I think there's an extent that he's frustrated that he's been the face of this when he probably shouldn't have been throughout the whole process. When Anthony was under the pump, Ben was always the guy fronting up and being asked the questions.
But he has to. He's the captain of the club.
Well, he's been under the pump the whole time he's been there.
I think he felt
of his
like
price tag.
there's a sense that maybe the administration didn't poke their head up as much as he did, which, sometimes I feel...
But then for me, really, why re-sign last year then for 2 years?
Yeah, nothing's changed. That is odd. What circumstances have changed?
I'm not
since
saying...
the re-signing?
I'm not saying he's got any...
But that's what I find weird about it, really, is that I understand, like, he's the captain, he's the face of the club, so things are always going to go to him. But if you knew that you had these problems already, why did he re-sign last year for 2 more years?
Yeah, nothing's changed. What circumstantially has changed?
And he could have gone then because he met with Gus Gould. Met with Gus Gould, and Gus expressed an interest in him, and other clubs were looking at him, and he was obviously happy at the time. Obviously, things had changed. I don't know whether he's had his head turned by other clubs and potential offers that are on the table elsewhere. But if I'm the Dragons, you don't let your captain and best player go, regardless of what happens.
Well, that's the odd thing is why now? What's changed in that period of time? Like, what's changed administrationally? What's changed? Well, we know the coach, but
nothing's changed administration.
Well, exactly. So we know the coach is like, was he that tight with Griffin where he feels like he can't play under another coach? He never signed for him in the first place, but I don't know. Like you say, the Dragons can't allow him to walk out the door. Perhaps they can.
Yeah,
but I listened to you yesterday. I think you made a good point on he wants to leave. So it's not the club pushing him out. It's going to free up a lot of cap. They can bring in other players that want to be there.
Who are you going to get now? No, there's no club in the game. The reason he's valuable is there's no halves. No one can get a half. So you let him go. You're basically putting your future in the hands of Jaden Sullivan and Junior Amone. And Junior Amone's still got some issues he's got to deal with. The only way I would even consider it as the Dragons is you say to him, mate, you stay with us next year. You give us next year. You give Shane a chance to work with you for a year. If at the end of the year or midway through the year you still want to go, we'll look at it then. But you're not going now because you've left him in the lurch.
Yeah, but really, like, clubs need to be strategic. And again, I'm not saying they should let him go, but I think it's an option that they should consider because it frees up a ton of money.
There's no one to spend it on, Jimmy.
Do you also do a swap? If you get a Titans, do you get, say, someone like Kieran Foran, or do you go for AJ Brimson?
So the Dragons...
Do you think the Titans are going to let AJ go?
The Dragons have got all the
leverage.
power.
They've got the leverage at the moment because Ben Hunt wants to leave.
Dragons have got all the power in this negotiation.
They got the contract.
So they use that and they leverage that
and they
to
want
their
to keep
advantage.
Yeah, but who are they going to get? That's what I'm saying.
Okay, you're saying who they're going to get as a 7.
Yes.
But they're not going to get more than likely a like-for-like replacement at 7.
Exactly.
But perhaps they could say, okay, well, we'll put Sullivan in at 7, which was spoken about for a long, long time. So if we bring Sullivan in at 7, perhaps we can strengthen in other areas.
You get a Sam Verrill as a hooker.
Yeah, we look at other areas that the Dragons need a hooker, like Woodsy said. So then they cashed up for probably edge forward, couple of middles. That would be handy. Whether or not Sloan is the answer at fullback to bring in, another marquee man. We've seen. I take you back to Penrith Panthers when they let Luke Lewis go. That was like a huge decision. How on earth could you
Michael
let
Jennings from memory?
they had a heap of like senior players all leave at the same time, and everyone go, well, we're never going to recover from this. How can we let Luke Lewis go to the Cronulla Sharks?
And then the tsunami.
We've got to make sure.
And it was a win-win.
But Jimmy, you got to make sure it is a win-win. That's the
Well,
key.
this is it.
You got
This
to
is
make
the-
sure you
so
get
this-
something
they've
out
got
of
this
it.
how to do it, really.
This is
That's
why
what we're
I
saying.
think the Dragons are winning at the moment because this is a narrative that helps them. So they need to spin the narrative. And I don't like this to happen to Ben Hunt. I consider him a friend. But the Dragons need to spin the narrative of make him public enemy at Dragons camp, number one, if he does go.
And you know, the other thing, they've got Shane Flanagan coming in too. They've got a bit of stability who their coach is going to be. It's not Griffin who's on the outer. So kids know that, I'm going to be coached by Shane for the next 3 years. And he's got some pulling power within recruiting.
And also, the transfer
turn me around.
the transfer market,
rid of
the transfer
Cutting loose.
On their terms, on their terms.
The transfer market, as always, is very flexible and moves. The very fact that who's off contract.
Yeah.
Well, Ben Hunt is on contract and he's become available.
Exactly.
And players fall out with coaches. These things happen. But having said that, there are some cashed up teams. The Dolphins have plenty of money. The Raiders,
Dogs have money.
the Dogs, and the West Tigers. So if one of those teams get Ben Hunt and that chews up their
The Roosters.
their money, then there's plenty of others. So
Roosters always have money.
Sombrero.
Dogs got pumped by, as mentioned at the top, by the Sharks. Good on the Sharkies for bouncing back. Don't think too many were surprised that they had to reevaluate things after the Storm loss, the Sharks. So they bounced back in kind. Nico obviously had a bit to prove. He was back in. They were full strength. We get to Burton not playing in a few of the gripes I've got with this Origin period.
That's a tough one.
A bit later on. I hate
Because
it.
he was named and then... Yeah.
No, anyway. But have the Dogs, this sounds a little harsh, because they're thinking big picture, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But they're 1 year into the Serraldo era. But have they, how much, if they have, gone forward under Serraldo? That was the second shellacking. Now, early in the year, they got two beatings in a row, but they bounced back.
But they've also showed they've had some good games. Like they beat Melbourne Storm in Melbourne, which is a really tough ask.
Round two.
But like I watched them yesterday closely because you knew Cronulla were going to be up for it. I just don't think they're playing as a team. I watched Reed Marnie play. Great player, but he's trying to do everything at the moment. Like he's taken 2 or 3 steps every time he gets to hooker. He's taken time off his halves, taken time off the forwards, and they're not getting over the advantage line. A player that Jimmy used to like was, when the forwards get it and they a little bit of shape or out the back, the forwards aren't getting time to do it. He's bringing blokes onto the ball when they're not ready for it. Yep. The halves aren't getting it when they want. There's a couple of times he runs the ball in fifth play. That's just a little thing, but then just defensively, they copped a massive spray in the media last week from their coach, about the defence that you hear Serraldo's a huge, he just pumped up defence. And you speak to all the people at Penrith, he's so big on his D. And some of those tries yesterday, Sharks, they just ran harder. Jack Williams scored a try. Braden Ueli, big Tom Hazard, and young kid off the bench just showed that their intent was just to go through them. Sharks are a side that tend to score a lot of tries through their outside backs in Mulatano, Katoa, but it was all their middlemen yesterday that they just showed that they wanted to run harder and tackle harder.
Oh, they all got hit by the Craig Fitzgibbon cattle prod.
And then listening to the commentators like Mick Ennis, there's going to be another try here. There'll be another one here before half time. If that was for like the last 10 minutes, you could just feel it coming, and they're just playing on the front foot. So I just think it was just a lack of effort from the Dogs yesterday. Yeah, they started off well. But they just, you can't be good for 10, 15 minutes. We did it at Manly and you just get blown off the park. If you don't respect, your opposition and defensively, that's the biggest part of the game. And that's where Serraldo wouldn't be happy.
We're not mentioning that game in this episode of Monday's Scrum.
Yeah, look, not going to pretend that yesterday's efforts were good enough. Yeah. They weren't.
But you know what, Jimmy? They've got some guys that are trying. Like, you look at this Avarillo, like he come out of nowhere to do that chase, then tries to go in the other corner. The young fella, the young back rower,
Preston.
Really, mate, defensively tries his backside off, but there's just other players around him that aren't working hard with them. You got some guys that are doing all these effort areas, these little 1% areas, putting their head where they shouldn't be, kick pressures, and then you just got other blokes that are they're a little bit passengers like at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, look, like I say, I don't think it's good enough. I'm not going to pretend that I think it's good enough to. We can speak about who's not there, but whoever represents that club and that jersey need to perform at a more consistent level and be up for the fight. And it just seemed yesterday after 10 minutes that the fight was over. I think against Parramatta there was some signs there, so there were some opportunities there. You go, they were close, but then. They just didn't manage the moment well enough. But yesterday it was just, a carve up through the middle third of the field, which will really disappoint Cameron because, I think personally, you asked the question, have they gone backwards? I don't believe they have. I think there's definitely signs of improvement from yesteryear. 7 wins last year, 3 wins the year before, 6 wins the year before. If we're looking at purely on results, I imagine they will go above that.
They're at 5 now, yeah?
At 5 now,
Yeah.
at pretty much the halfway stage.
What's par? 10?
10's an overachievement for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. I feel a bit sorry for them. I tell you what I feel really sorry for, young Carl Olawapu.
Yeah.
Who's been asked to, as an 18-year-old, been asked to play in the
defending
middle of the field. He got dragged after 60 minutes, I think it was. He missed 7 tackles. And, he's cooked, right? He needs some time off. But they've got so many injuries.
yeah.
It's a bit like...
and then you lose Burton
It's a bit like young
midweek.
Katsoa at the Dolphins, who's just, because they've had so many injuries up there, he's been forced to play every week.
Yeah.
And they just need a break.
Yeah, it's
too
hard,
much.
Yeah, it's a hard competition.
Cameron
But
obviously
that's the NRL
realised
really.
60 minutes. But he's an 18-year-old kid. And he's been asked to shoulder a lot of load for that team in the absence of so many footballers. He's going to be a great player one day, Olawapu. But just at the moment, he looked like yesterday he just needed a break. And they're in such a situation with their injuries. They just can't get a kid like that a break. They need to play him.
And they're not helped by what I regard as one of the most ridiculous rules in all of sport.
A bloke that won't even play
The
this
bloke
week.
that probably won't play gets pulled out of a club game on the weekend. That is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm going down James Graham levels of anger here.
It's frustrating.
I could feel my skin
You
starting
think it
to
would have
crawl.
made a difference to you?
I don't think it would have made a difference, but it's
You lose your best
What's
player.
the problem?
You lose.
What's
They
the
lost their best
problem?
player.
Yeah.
he's
It's
going to sit
Origin.
on his ass with a tracksuit
He
on
might
all
play.
Wednesday night.
Well, if they'd been a bit smarter in Origin 1, he would have come on in that game and
Yeah,
been
but if-
valuable, but they
yeah.
completely cocked it up.
You
in
didn't even know
Origin
that
1.
either, really.
Yeah, if I bought shares
So he
20 years
may-
ago in mining,
so
I'd be a
he may be
millionaire.
valuable in Origin 2.
no.
Maybe he'll be handy. Maybe they'll need
Maybe
him.
be
It's a
18th man.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you like the rule?
They won't use him again.
The 18th man.
No, he's saying they should have used him like when
Yeah,
Turbo
but perhaps
used
they
him.
should have.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they didn't.
same
No,
man,
they
as,
didn't.
as the 18th man, they should have used him.
They
Yes.
didn't.
Were they able to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were because it was foul play.
Fair play. They put on Nico Hines instead in the centres. So I'm saying that maybe he will be important in
Yeah, but
game
mate,
2. How do we know?
maybe
Could be the
if
difference between
whatever-
winning. Freddie's future's on the line, man.
I could not
Could be
care.
the
If
difference
I'm
between
a
winning and
Dogs
losing
fan,
an
Jeez,
Origin
you'd love,
series.
Queens, you'd love Queensland to win,
About
wouldn't you?
And I've got Mr. Wong's on the line.
So do I. Come on.
I don't. We get fed, don't we, Jimmy? Who cares?
Hello, Reed speaking.
Mate, okay, what do you guys think of the 18th man rule? Stand him down from the weekend.
No, you should play.
Yeah,
and then if you're picking your 18th man, you pick who's best fit. Like you get to the game, hey Matt, how you doing? Yeah, good. Yeah. Can you come do 18th man job for us? Yeah,
Are
absolutely.
you saying they should back up?
I
Around
reckon,
the
yes,
weekend,
I-
then?
I
for
reckon-
18th man.
Well,
Yes.
Okay.
I'd want him playing, especially if that's the best player in my team. You want him there. No, he doesn't make a 48-point difference yesterday, but he helps them out. You don't have to play.
Yeah.
Big
He
Carl
doesn't
for
make him
so
win the game.
long.
We had Dave Riccio on standby for today's show. We let him go back and do his work. We haven't got
You
told
think
him to
Dave's
just...
working today? I've spoken to him. He ain't working. Don't worry. I don't have a problem with it.
Oh,
I think
crazy.
he's part of that team. He's part of that squad. Why should he not be up there with them?
No, but what he's also saying is he was named in the side at the start,
yeah.
and then because they lost the injury,
Because
he
of
got called in
Latrell.
late.
Well, that's
And the
life.
shuffle down. That isn't life.
That
It's
is.
stupidity.
I'm
That's
sorry,
what it
that
is.
life.
No.
That's,
Change
that's
it
the
now.
that's the value of having Origin players in your team. They make your team better,
Oh,
but you
really?
also lose them at this time of year.
And another thing about Origin
Here we go.
period, as much as we love sitting down and watching 34 of the most elite rugby league players on the planet belt into each other.
36, mate. 36.
36, of
Don't
course.
forget the 18th
Two
man that really
18th
loves.
Well, we include the 19th man as well. And Alan Langer, he basically plays the game. Scheduling a marquee with historical connotations, a rivalry, in the week before an Origin game is A-grade dumbness. Manly Para.
Yeah, there's a
Great
couple of-
rivalry.
There's a couple of things in the scheduling algorithm that they need to fix up,
They
and
just
that's
don't
one
get.
of them.
Yeah.
Especially when the fans
Here we
fans go to
Would
see
you enjoy that game?
Look at the scratch on your face. Who was that?
It was Reedy before we got in here.
Siebes at halftime?
No, definitely. I stayed away from Siebes. No, I just think you lose, like you said, for a rivalry round. I think they celebrated one of their grand final. Parramatta, the old boys, they celebrated a grand final reunion sort of thing that night as well. So
The 83 one, was
I think they all got rings. Peter Wynn was there, so I seen
Yeah,
Winnie
yeah.
there. I wasn't sure which one it was, but it was you want to have your best players there celebrating all that with them after the game, and you want the best contest, especially for those rivalry games. And you're a Manly supporter, you don't want
Well, you wouldn't put South Roosters on.
no way.
And for a Manly fan, or maybe a Para fan, maybe Para got enough rivalries.
You don't do Penrith Para. You know what I mean?
Para or whatever like that.
Yeah.
You don't put those games on there. Really, surely you cannot back that decision up.
Well, look,
who cares?
someone's going to miss out.
Queensland's not involved,
Some
so I
games
don't care.
Miss out.
Well, can I say something about that game too?
Nothing's
What about Riccio during that game?
What's he done?
Didn't even sit on the sideline.
Where'd he
Sat in the
sit?
box.
What?
Get out.
Go ring the 18th man and see what he did.
It's outrageous.
Hang on.
Can you believe that?
You've jumped ahead here on the rundown. Our next schedule
No,
on the rundown.
No,
That's
that's another WTF moment. Don't worry.
There's no. I'm not sure what the answer is to Origin scheduling and games around it. There's no perfect scenario. It doesn't
Get off
matter
the fence,
what you
Reed.
do. I don't actually think there is no solution to it. There's no. I think at the moment we've got our best.
Yeah.
This is the best.
There's no
scenario.
there's no perfect
Right,
solution,
and-
but I think there's some games that come up where you go,
Fair income.
Jimmy, sometimes it's so hard. Clubs make so many demands around. We want this game here and that game there and this game here, and it all goes into that computer supercomputer.
Well, would you like-
in
oh, so you
Canada.
just put it in the two
They
hard
put it in the
box. Yeah.
supercomputer.
So would you
computer in
like-
Canada,
You should get you on
and
the
it gets
independent
solved.
commission with
Yeah.
that sort of attitude. Oh, what do you think about that? Oh, it's too
too hard.
It's too hard. The
Let
too
the
hard
computer
basket.
in
Would
Canada
you
solve
like
it.
would you like to be like Buzz and have Origin end of the year?
Well, that's
No.
That's a
No.
disgrace.
With due respect to Buzz, it's one of the dumbest ideas he's come up with, and he's come up with plenty.
That's one thing we all agree on.
Let's get to this then.
Now, the WTF moment.
Woodsy, you want to lead us off? You said you got
Yeah,
one.
for me, mate, it was in our game.
Yeah.
So I think we made a tackle on Ruben Garrick tackled young Dejan Arce.
I know where
dropped
you're
the
going
ball.
here. I know where you're going
Yes, and then we watched the replay, and you can just see that
On the big screen,
Yeah,
on the
on the
ground.
big screen, you can just see Garrick touches him before he gets it, and then Gutherson goes to Butler, our referee, and says, "Oh, captain's challenge," and he allowed it. I couldn't believe it. Almost was like Jimmy Graham.
I saw you blow up. You were
Oh,
the
it's
only one
filthy,
allowed to
mate,
it.
because you cannot watch, and they had longer than 10 seconds, and then the ref goes to me, he's got 10 seconds from when I tell him. So if you tell him 5 minutes later, you still got 10 seconds from there. Does that count? I couldn't believe it, mate. And it was a big momentum swing in the game. I was filthy.
It was the right decision in the
It
end,
was,
but I get your point.
yeah, but
Didn't you lose by 30?
yeah, no, but hey, funny is it? It was early on in the game.
Hey, it's what's it? Reedy's.
Half
Oh,
glass.
what does it matter?
Half glass read. Look at him.
Nah.
Big momentum
Oh,
swing.
mate, don't get me any closer to this bloke, honestly.
He lost by 30.
It wasn't by 30 that time, you knucklehead.
Fair enough then, okay.
Oh,
Sorry, as a
dear.
referee.
It was
As
18,
you're
it was
right,
18-4
It was
that
the
time.
referee's fault.
Yeah, it
Sorry.
was. It always is. And it was, you know what? Adam G-string in the bunker. I don't know what game he was watching.
Hey, you get careful.
Nah, we're
Careful.
mates. We're
Okay.
mates. We're mates.
You sound like Maroon, yeah. Next thing you'd be like Malachi Crunch.
I'll be doing emails too, just with Abdo soon, just to clear it.
You got one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Sunday. I think it was Sunday morning. The footy show, Channel 9 footy show, did a live cross to the Queensland camp.
Yeah.
And at the end of the interview with Cam Munster and Jonathan Thurston, Cam Munster asked Andrew Johns how his relationship was going with his brother. And the look on Joey's face
I would have split a rock.
was unbelievable.
It looks good, kill
He
already.
was filthy.
you know
And
what?
Munster was
Were you there?
laughing. No,
Oh.
no. And Jonathan Thurston was and giggling away.
Did you
And
see?
Joey was just
Was Joe putting on an actor?
staring
I think
down.
Danica asked him. Danica asked Joey, like, "Oh, what's your thoughts?" He just looked like that. And didn't even,
It's brilliant that
didn't even respond.
seeing them fall out. It's like
oh,
Liam and Noel,
Yeah.
Kane and Abel.
And Matty
It's
talks
like
about it everywhere.
Harry
and Joey
and,
says
doesn't
nothing.
say one word.
Harry and William. You know,
it's like the first hour
it's
and a
the
half
Johns
of Step
brothers.
Brothers.
It's unbelievable,
They're at
mate.
each
It's
other.
unbelievable.
It's brilliant.
You got one?
Yes, I do actually. Yes.
Yes.
So during yesterday's commentary of the game between the Cronulla Sharks and the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, obviously things went a little bit off track because we weren't quite focusing
Yep.
on the game itself. And anyway, we got into some strange town names
we did,
that
yeah.
exist,
Oh, yeah.
and I am still perplexed by the fact that there is a name of a place in Victoria called Sausage Gully. Now,
You're kidding.
whoever, if you can get away with calling
Who
a
knew that?
town Sausage Gully, like,
Marina.
I'm sorry.
Ah, Maroon.
Well, there were
but-
some other
but
crackers too.
That is.
The top mate, I can't remember what they were.
That's blatant. That's a couple of blokes hanging around the town planning committee and just going, do you reckon we call it sausage?
See if we can
Gully?
get it
Like, should we-
through.
Go on, let's just pop,
Do you reckon it
pop
looks like
that
a
one
sausage?
through. And it's like, yeah, they like. I reckon there's still some fellas down the pub who are going like, Can you believe they called it that?
And let me
Like,
guess-
imagine living in a like. It's the biggest euphemism you've ever like. Just you might as well just put a swear word up there. Like, I'm sorry. That for me is like the biggest.
Oh,
Brilliant.
Jimmy, I found some others. I mentioned some on air yesterday.
Oh, the first one.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
Titwobble Lane. There's a place called Ding-a-Ding.
Ding a dong. Or ding a ding.
Ding-a-ding. Ding-a-ding. Have you ever heard of that?
My old man, when he moved to Australia, couldn't believe there was a place called Rooty Hill.
What about this joint called Teddy Bear's Gap?
Maroon,
Free
Maroon
Lane.
would have been all over it.
Oh, he was loving
He
it.
loves
Oh,
it.
man,
His
it was-
trivia.
Especially in a game that's got a huge margin in it.
Mount Bugger. That's another one.
Mount Bugger? Are you joking? Do you know what buggery means? Like, are you joking? You can't.
That's true, yeah.
Welcome,
Like,
welcome to
this is-
Australia, Jimmy.
Anyway, some good ones, yeah.
There's Mount Bollocks next to it as well.
This is like you just can't be calling towns that like.
Oh, man.
Apparently you can, Jimmy. Apparently
Like I
you
wonder
can.
what the property values are. Like if they
Oh, yeah.
just
There's some funny names.
It's a beautiful
funny English
house.
stuff.
yeah,
English
there,
towns,
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
there?
yeah. There is. I think there's been a few that have been petitioned to change.
Change.
Yeah, because it's just like it affects
Yeah.
things like property
Times
value.
change. Times change. My WTF moment's right at you, Englishman.
What?
Cricket.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Ollie Robinson.
What about that?
He gets Kawaja out for 141 and then gives him an almighty spray going off.
He was pumped, wasn't he?
F you, F off, basically, he said. Mate,
Good on him.
calm down.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Actually, I should have done this moment. What WTF moment? What about young Kyle Flanagan
Oh.
yesterday when he
Oh,
scored
was
the
pumped.
try?
Yeah, yeah, beat by 20.
And he goes, "This is my
I
house."
thought he said my dad built this.
And I love Kyle, right?
What did he actually say? It'd be
He said,
interesting.
"My house." I think
Did he
said
actually
my-
say that?
Yes.
Oh.
You know what's funny? I've seen a lot of them do it. Jesse Ramian did it.
Well, Ramian, I think, did it because
Yeah,
at
it
half
must-
time
yeah,
they spoke about Kyle
Oh,
and what he'd done.
but then what was Braden Ueli doing? He was like, he was pumped.
Oh,
that's the
man,
replica.
you know what? ULA. I think he was a WWE move.
Oh,
because
was it? Yeah.
remember
Oh,
when
The
he
Rock.
did that? Remember when he did that one and the punch, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's actually punched someone." But then he did that celebration. I think it was
That was the try celebration for
yeah,
Men
that
of League.
was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But I think it
Player
might have been
League, yeah.
something linked to that.
And I felt a bit for Kyle because he had a red hot go yesterday, Kyle Flanagan. He had a real go for them.
Don't
But
give it the this is
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
house.
Just
Yeah.
cool
you
your
get
jets,
clapped.
cool your jets, big boy.
Yeah, it's like
I
Ollie
think we got a
Robinson.
little glimpse from his future there. I mentioned that I think he's going to be a hook.
He looked
a
good
hooker,
at hooker
Kyle.
like a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because I-
Where at?
yeah. I don't know.
That's the bit I don't know where at.
Maybe Dragons?
Dragons.
They need a hooker.
No, they got little. He's just signed for 2 years.
They need a hooker.
Back
Yeah. So to read his point,
bad, mate.
up.
You're
Oh,
bad.
careful.
No, he's all right. You need two hookers.
By the way, cricket, loving it. Willow
I
Talk
can't
each
sleep.
morning as
I've
well.
hardly slept, mate. It's so
Get-
good.
Well, sleep and then listen to the Willow Talk podcast,
Got
which is up
training
about
about as
7 a.m.
well,
this morning.
like,
Well, on your way, you're travelling halfway
Just
across
so-
the world
I
to
love.
get the
I just
training.
love listening to the chants in the background.
Yeah,
They're
it
the
is
best,
good.
mate. The Barmy Army.
It is good. You ever go to the cricket in the English summer?
don't mate.
It's a mid-season,
Because
wasn't it, for you guys?
yeah, we actually
years.
Friday night game, you'll be all to
we had tickets for day 4 at Headingley.
When was this?
And the
2019.
Not the one where Stokes-
2011.
Okay,
11.
before you came
And-
here. I was going to say the Stokes Day.
In
4 years ago.
2011,
Heart.
we had tickets for to day 4,
Yeah.
and Aussies won after 3 days. And
and
then we've still got right. So we booked a box. We booked corporate. A few of the St Helens players, and the one player that booked it said we didn't get a refund, and we still reckon there was a refund. So we still every year or every time the Ashes is on, it's at Headingley. We always text this player who will remain nameless. We're like, hey, have we got that? Have we got that? Have we got that refund back?
That's
But he was like, they said because all the catering and the booze have been paid for.
Yep.
They were like, oh no, you can come up to Leeds and like sit in the box.
watch
And
yourself.
we were like, what? You want us to like get all the way to Leeds and just sit in at Headingley and just look at the stare
they
at a
may as well
patch of
try it
grass?
on, see if you'd bite and do it.
Well,
because they're losing money.
We didn't want to pay for the expense to get there, so we just went to a
you
pub
still
instead.
did. You still did.
Well,
didn't
we
you?
did. Well, I think there was a refund
Oh.
paid.
Geez,
this
how close are you
individual.
to naming this guy?
I don't think our audience would resonate with who it is, but anyway.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. A moment. This wasn't a WTF moment. This is its own moment by itself in the history of rugby league.
Wakeham kicking out Norfolk Luna's way. Here comes Dundon. Scramble. Tigers. Alex Price.
Such a good call from Andrew Voss on Fox League. If there's one guy you wanted in the chair, the biggest rugby league nuffy going around, Andrew Voss.
Well,
he has talked about that.
He has
nauseam.
he has like a telegraphic memory, Andrew Voss, doesn't he? And he's obviously spoke about this in great detail. Like it just needed him to call that. Like
he tweeted it that day too.
Yeah,
he
called it
that
morning.
He called it that morning on his
said
Twitter.
Tonight's the night, hoping tonight's the night, or something
'Cause
along
I
that.
called it,
116th game for
He's probably
Alex
done it
Twal.
116 other times.
Yeah.
It's his Groundhog Day tweet. So an idea, gents, that I come up with this morning. So the next, I think it's Pat Carrigan now on 70 odd.
74, I think it is.
Started his career and hasn't scored a try yet. I would like to see some form of NRL award that is just cycles around. So Pat Carrigan now owns a trophy of a face of Alex Twal, and we'll call it the Golden Twal, and it goes to the person who has gone the longest to start their career without a try.
Got to be done.
It has to be done. That's a great idea.
It's bigger than the Dally M. Well, long. Like maybe on a same
size,
level.
you mean inside too.
It's the same
Bigger,
level.
but
Bigger. Yeah.
It's not the trophy that you want.
No.
What a
You'd
story.
surely be able to get a sponsor that.
How long,
easy.
how long did you guys wait for your first try? Do you remember? How many games?
I was 4.
4 games.
Yeah.
4 games.
Ran over Braith and Astor.
Oh.
Never forget.
Hey, you weren't the only one.
The smile on his
Hey, you weren't
face
the
that
only
he
one
did
to
it.
run over Braith. Don't worry.
Oh, coming from you.
He's been
Hey,
hammering me lately.
We spoke
been
about
hammering me.
we spoke about it, mate. Be careful what you say about
He's
players.
been hammering me, Braith.
He's running that shop over there, so just be
Oh,
careful.
man.
Just
Yeah,
be
how
careful.
long did you wait?
Oh, I can't remember.
Jimmy
Maybe
would
like
have scored.
15 games.
Oh.
maybe?
Okay.
I can't remember.
15.
Generally can't remember.
That would have felt a long time. But imagine going 116.
Oh,
116
yeah,
game
the
days.
big
You
drought.
wake up
We
and
had
think,
blocker,
"Is this
Blake
me?"
Laurie. That was funny.
yeah. I reckon this idea of this, like, you pass on.
The Golden Twal.
Yeah, the golden
Passing
fire.
of the
It's
torch.
got to be done. It has to be done. This could be. Like
Can we
a-
tag
a-
Pat Carrigan in this so he knows that he's got the trophy?
You are
please?
the owner, Patrick.
Well, I think we need to like arrange some sort of formal, actual trophy.
We're gonna
and have Alex Twal like deliver it in person next
Yes.
time. Next time the Broncos are playing down here in Sydney, like as Pat Carrigan gets off the aeroplane and walking through, normally it's the media there. Alex Twal's just there and just shakes his
A
hand.
trophy of his head. Here you go,
Why
mate.
doesn't Triple M do it? Why don't Triple M
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's pump it up.
finance some sort of trophy? I'm sure we could
Yeah.
pass it around.
You know, back in the day, they used to say that one of the old Liverpool teams, they'd play, and one of the players would start with a pound coin, and while they were playing, they used to pass this pound coin around to each other while the game was going on, and whoever was left with it at the end of the game had to buy the first round of drinks.
Oh, that's awesome.
How good is that?
They were
Like,
that good that they were
yeah,
doing
they were
that.
that good that they had this little game going on in between the game within the game.
Magnificent.
That's unreal.
It has to be an NRL club game, can't be an Origin
yeah,
game.
no,
Pat
no.
Carrigan.
I totally agree. And,
That's
Triple M could do it. They've got a
Yeah.
statue of MG. I'm sure they'll get one of 12's head. It's not hard.
Exactly, but you've got to be happy for the guy, Reedy.
Oh,
One of
fantastic.
the good premium good guys of rugby league as well.
I remember
Alex.
speaking to him earlier this year about his try scoring drought.
Yeah.
I think he got sick of talking about it
Can I,
by the end.
can I
Which
say
is
one
only
thing?
fair. Yeah, sure.
You know his first touch in NRL, he should have scored.
Really?
Yeah, I was there for his
Yeah.
debut. It was against Newcastle, up in Newcastle.
Oh, were you
He-
playing that day?
Yeah, I played it. So I was there for his debut, and he got a ball, and out of nowhere, he just pulled up just short of the line. I can't remember who the fullback was on the day. They just held him up. Anyone else scores that try, it's just unlucky it was Alex Twal.
Just probably go, oh, it's all right. I'll get
Yeah,
it.
that's what we said. I think that's what someone said to him, mate. You got plenty of time.
Ah, dear. The Golden 12. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Origin, guys. A couple of days out now. We haven't spoken. Well, we're almost through it. Just some quick predictions because it's so heavily talked about. But what are we feeling, guys? I'm still full of trepidation about New South Wales' chances. As much as I want to be positive, just Queensland, I think up there, going to be too difficult a task, James Graham.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Look at Reedy.
I disagree. I reckon this one's still a chance, boys.
You got a $1,000 meal at Mr.
Don't-
Wong's on the
don't
line.
worry,
here.
mate.
I've already ordered. I put my order in already.
Oh, you're that
I'm
confident.
Don't
yeah.
blow you too early, mate.
It wouldn't be the first time.
What's the latest? Anything latest out of Origin camps, or is it all pretty
It's
the
been
same?
boring. Freddie doesn't let them talk to the media anymore.
Freddie's
apart from
cut him
Latrell.
off now, hasn't he? Yeah, Freddie shut it down.
So
now.
the South's physio still in camp,
No,
getting
I
intel
don't,
about
no, I
other
don't
players.
think so. I think he's done now. Eddie's done now.
Yeah,
But
not that he
Freddie
was
shut
doing
it
that.
down now. He tossed the media out after 10 minutes. So the public can sit there and watch him train, but not the media.
Do you remember when they used to it was just when he first got in there, everyone and every player was up for media.
And his view was, if you can't speak the day before an Origin game, then how are you going to handle Origin? But
He's changed a few things, hasn't he? Because
Yeah.
he said at the start of the series, it's like, I couldn't pick Campbell Graham because he couldn't train the first week. Now he's got about 3 guys who couldn't train the first
Funny
week.
what
but he picked
pressure
them all.
does to people, isn't it?
Changes people, Brent.
Yeah,
Also changed Nico Hines and Tavir Pengai too.
All right, Nico. Spoke to him yesterday.
He's all right?
He was all right.
How was he? What did he say?
Good, yeah. He said I probably didn't deserve to be there.
He's
we got him
just-
after the
he's
game.
saying all the
Triple
right
M.
things.
You know, he probably didn't deserve to be there. Toughest couple of weeks of his career. Shut down social media. Got off social media.
Good idea.
You know, I think he was in a. I thought he was good yesterday. I wouldn't say it was the Nico.
He started off
It
kick out in the
wasn't
forward pass.
it wasn't a game that he needed to shine.
No.
The middles destroyed them.
Yeah, and there was a few
Blake Brayley.
strange errors from him, but he
Yeah.
didn't need to shine.
Yeah, I don't think he's all the way back yet.
Yeah.
But it's been a really difficult time.
Well, he
for
got a
him,
bye this
so,
week, so it's good for him to get
Yeah.
away and just reassess where he's at.
Yeah.
Let's get. Give us a prediction.
Oh, Queensland. Yeah.
18-12 New South Wales.
Hey, there you go, James.
Queensland
Oof.
with some ease.
Jimmy. Hey, he's jumped on
I'll go.
on the bandwagon
Mitch Moses to kick a field goal.
to win it.
17-16 New South Wales.
I
Love the way you think, Adam.
yeah.
There you go.
I like that. Yeah.
Heart over the head, big style on that one. Here we go. The mailman's here.
Reedy's Mail.
I was going to do a bit of Nico Hines in my mail, but you've flogged it off me. So
Sorry, mate.
look, we'll start with the good news. Bit of good news out of the Roosters. Billy Smith, young centre's done an extension there. He's had a bit of a horror run. Billy Smith with knee injuries over the last
good
few
for
years.
He's had a few, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had some real problems, Billy, but he's sort of strung together some games this year, and he's looked pretty good.
Give him
So
confidence each week,
they're
I
giving
think.
him one more year at the Roosters.
So who's going to be squeezed out there?
Well, that's the next item, Matty Lodge. Obviously, the news is... Look, Matty Lodge already knew he was gone at the end of the year because the club had informed him they didn't have enough money to keep him. Now, that was sort of a change of direction because initially they'd indicated to Lodgy that he would get another year. He would get an extension there.
Because he had a few clubs last year that were chasing him
Yeah.
heavy.
And then when Jared re-signed and Daniel Tupou re-signed, I think that sort of caught the Roosters off guard, and that meant they didn't have enough money to keep Matt Lodge next year. So, I mean, obviously that was pretty disappointing for Matt, and he's spoken about the disappointment of that. But now, obviously, the news has come out that he's free to go now if he can find another club. He's got till August 7. I'm not sure where it's at in terms of finding another club, but I'm sure, obviously what started really promisingly for him at the Roosters sort of gone a bit pear-shaped, and it's going to end pretty bitterly, I guess, by the looks of it. And look, Lodgy's had 4 clubs, I think, in 5 years, and I think he just wants to settle down and find a club where he can stick it out for a while. He hoped it would be the Roosters. That's not going to happen now.
He loves the Roosters
didn't-
too.
he
They said it
didn't-
was a great place.
He didn't play last week. I'm not sure if he'll be back in the team this week, but you wouldn't have thought so given
Great win.
given they won. So I'm sure he'll find a club somewhere. Woodsy, you know him better than most of us.
Yeah, no, I spoke to him. No, he was wrong, but told me at the start of the year he was hopefully to re-sign there. He said it's a great place to be. Coach has been outstanding. The players are really good. So, and then spoke to him the other week. He was quite disappointed, and just said that he understands why Hargraves wants to go on again, and he's earned that right. He's been such a stalwart of that club, and even you watch Jared play now, mate. He's such a every time he's on the field, they're a better team.
He was very great when Lodgy spoke about it the other week. He was very gracious about it all. He said, "Look,
100%. He's learned. He reckons he's learned a lot.
He said,
so
I
much
can't
from the
begrudge
Roosters.
Jared going around another year. I understand why the club's kept him, but obviously things have gone a bit.
So why is he being allowed to leave this year? For this,
now?
That's the one. That's the part of this that I don't understand with the Roosters so heavily down on troops. I just don't
think
understand why
I
they'd
think the
allow him to go
relationships have deteriorated a bit,
okay,
Jimmy,
it's got-
since
it's
then.
got-
I just don't think.
I think he was promised one thing and didn't get it.
Yeah, and that's sort
And that's
of
always disappointing.
But still, like the Roosters
all walks of life.
could still come good this year.
well, and
Like,
he,
and
I
you'd
agree.
think
they got
he'd
the
be
cattle to do it.
he'd be a significant.
well, and he
part
won't
of the-
necessarily go. I mean, he's got to
Yeah.
find somewhere else. If he can't find somewhere else for this year,
They've just said that if he
then
gets something, he can
they've said
go.
if you find something, you've got permission to go and have a look around and see if you can get something. If you can find something, go and do it. And I think the Roosters have shown, the Rolsey thing showed that if the Roosters don't see a future with someone now, they'd prefer to just
Ta-da.
Call it a
sever
ties.
ties now rather than
Does
persist.
he think they'll keep Walker?
I don't know.
Yes.
Apparently his comeback's been. I think he's
ACL
still
or
another
something.
month
Yeah,
away. Or
he's-
something
Why
at
would you
least.
put
So-
all that work into a kid for 2-3 years?
They just want
all
to
the
win.
way
They want to
through,
win now. They worry
And then
about
all of
winning
a
now,
sudden,
Adam.
it
Well,
just
they
gets
did
a
the
bit
same
hard.
with Flanagan.
quickly.
Yeah, they got Flano for a year or two and then Rissold.
Yeah.
He's got upside though, surely. Surely. Anyway,
Finally, look, there's a big meeting Wednesday, NRL commission meeting.
what, before Origin?
Yeah, the day of Origin. Big
In
commission
Brisbane?
meeting
They'll
in
all be
Brisbane.
together.
Oh,
Are
fancy
you
restaurant.
involved?
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get.
Reedy's
I'm
going
hoping
there
to
for,
get
yeah.
invited.
Just like that with
Flip of a
his
coin.
glass outside.
So look, they're going to talk.
I'm gonna go to the toilet.
They're going to talk Vegas on Wednesday, but I don't think they're going to rubber stamp it Wednesday. But it's another progression in the whole Vegas experience, which I think we all hope to be part of. But I think what they will rubber stamp on Wednesday is the grand final, staying in Sydney for at least one more year. So that's a pretty big ticket item, given it's we still don't know where the grand final is going to be at the end of the year. The indication is they'll do a 1 year deal with the New South Wales government. I think they'll rubber stamp that on Wednesday. So at least that'll be out the way, and then they'll take another step forward in the whole Vegas deal.
Beautiful.
You know, I looked up. There's talk they're going to have U2.
Mm.
They're going to do it. I looked up U2's booking the other day on the internet. Now I don't know how accurate it was. Apparently, they cost $1 million. U2. Surely that can't be right.
Surely that
them.
information isn't just like readily
It
available.
is.
Like
I'm
normally
telling
it's
you.
like for inquiries.
I looked
For
it up.
inquiries, please email you2 at
Yeah.
Bono at u2.com.
Yeah, here's our rate.
I looked it up.
Night events, $1 million. Lunchtime,
Yeah.
discounted rate of $500,000.
They got a booking agent. It said $1 million. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I think that's overs.
Look here, $1 million plus.
Better things to do with
U2 booking
$1 million.
price and availability. $1 million price, $1 million plus.
I reckon that's one of them. Like, just send your deposit over to this
Yeah.
bank
Yeah.
account. and
I'm
it's like,
sure the NRL
yeah,
are
really,
paying $1 million.
we'll sort you
How
out with
gullible
the-
are you,
That's the
Reed?
entire budget, mate. It's the interweb. He wouldn't lie.
No.
Absolutely. Nor would Brent Read, especially with Reedy's
I
mail.
love that you said it. I looked it up on the internet. It's like, oh no, we thought you're like just in a library, just doing the old school. Like, hang on a minute.
You're kidding, mate.
Gentlemen, that will see us out on the Monday Scrum. James Graham.
Great show,
Enjoy
everyone.
the week. Woodsy,
Very
you
good.
too,
Thanks,
mate.
mate.
And Reedy. Good stuff. Thanks, mate. Enjoy Origin, everyone. We'll be back next week to have a look back at the week that was, the weekend that was in rugby league. Got there in the end.